Hello and welcome. Today we're diving into a really big question, one that almost every company has to grapple with. How do you build and, more importantly, prove that you have real integrity? It's about so much more than just a rule book. It's about a culture. So how do you do that? You know, in today's world, with all its complex rules and public scrutiny, just saying we're an ethical company doesn't really cut it anymore, right? You need a system, something clear and defensible. And that is exactly where a structured framework becomes, well, absolutely essential. It gives you a roadmap. So here's our plan for today. First, we'll get a handle on what the T.R.U.S.T framework actually is. Then, we're going to break it down letter by letter, T, R, U, S, and T, to see exactly how these pieces fit together to build a seriously solid system for corporate integrity. Okay, so what is this T.R.U.S.T framework, really? At its heart, it's a set of guiding principles. You can think of it like a government-approved blueprint for creating what they call adequate procedures. That's just a way of saying you have a truly robust and thoughtful compliance program that's designed to stop misconduct before it happens. And these are the 5 pillars that make up the word trust. Each one is a crucial step in building a culture that's really driven by integrity, from the very top of the company all the way down. So let's start where it has to start, with T. The first principle, T, stands for top-level commitment. And let me be clear, this one is completely non-negotiable. If your leadership team isn't genuinely, authentically invested in doing things the right way, then any compliance program is just for show. We hear this phrase, tone at the top, all the time, and it is so important. This isn't just about the CEO sending out a memo. It's about leaders actively championing integrity, putting real resources behind compliance, and, most importantly, modeling that behavior themselves. If the foundation isn't solid right at the top, the whole thing is shaky. Okay, so let's move on to the R. This is for risk assessment. Once you've got that commitment from leadership, you need a map. You have to figure out where your potential weak spots are. I mean, you can't guard against risks if you don't even know what they are. And this means you've got to get specific. You start by identifying all the places you might run into trouble, whether it's bribery, data privacy, you name it. Then you look at each one and ask, how likely is this to happen? And if it does, how bad would it be? That helps you focus your time and money where it matters most. And of course, this isn't a one-and-done thing. You have to keep coming back to it. This leads us perfectly into you undertake control measures. Now that you know what your risks are, it's time to actually build the defenses. This is where the theory turns into real practical action. So these control measures are your direct answer to the risks you just found. Let's say a risk assessment found a problem in how you hire vendors. Well, a control measure could be a new, tougher vetting process or a new approval system. They are the concrete, day-to-day actions that make your integrity goals a reality. And finally, we get to the last 2 principles, S and T. Now, these 2 really work together as a team: systematic review and training. This is the part that makes sure your program is a living, breathing thing and not just some binder that sits on a shelf collecting dust. The S stands for systematic review, monitoring, and enforcement. What does that mean? It means you're constantly checking to see if your controls are actually working. You're auditing things, you're monitoring transactions, and you're making sure that if someone does break a rule, there are real, consistent consequences. It's the quality control check for your whole system. And the final T is for training and communication. And this is so critical. You can have the best policies in the world, but they are totally useless if your employees don't know about them, don't understand them, or don't know how to use them. Good, clear, ongoing communication is everything. And here's where it all comes together in this really powerful feedback loop. Your reviews, the S, might show you a weakness. Maybe people keep making the same mistake. So what do? You use that information to shape your next training session, the T. This cycle of finding and fixing ensures your program is always getting better and stronger. So let's zoom out for a second and see how this whole framework looks when it's all put together. This little chart is the perfect cheat sheet. See how it flows? It starts with the T, top-level commitment, which sets the entire culture. That culture pushes you to do the R, risk assessment, to find the threats. Once you know the threats, you undertake control measures to build your defenses. Then you constantly S, systematically review to see if they're working, and you T, train and communicate to make sure everyone has the knowledge. It's a beautifully logical and reinforcing cycle. And at the end of the day, that's the whole point.
following a framework like Trust helps you line up what you're doing inside the company with what regulators and the public expect on the outside. But more than that, it helps you move beyond just checking boxes and toward building a real, lasting culture of integrity.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. As you think about these 5 principles, how does your own organization stack up? Is it really, truly built on a foundation of trust?